What is going on, everybody? Today we are back with a origin story podcast. This one is I'm really excited about this because our guest today is someone who I've met a couple years ago at an event. We actually lifted together for the very first time. Both randomly showed up, and someone who I've gotten to know over the last couple of years and have formed a relationship with, and we're even like staying in an Airbnb next week together, and someone who I'm just super excited to highlight and get them to share their story. Someone who is super successful in business, not even 30 years old yet, and has taken a business from $2,000 a month to over $17 million in less than 3 years. You heard that right, $17 million in less than 3 years. And when you get to hear his story and see his demeanor, you just know that he's someone who's like, he's laser focused. He's an athlete, and as we talk about his business, you'll see exactly what sport that he grew up playing and one that he proceeds to do his business in. And so today I'm super excited to introduce you guys and hear the origin story to Mr. Trey Sikes. So Trey, thank you so much for real for coming on here and sharing your story with us, my friend.
Hey, no problem. Thank you for having me on.
Dude, super excited. Sam, if you don't mind, my friend, bring us in.
Yeah, Logan, thank you for making this connection. Anytime Logan tells me that there's someone that I absolutely need to meet, he's never ever disappointed. And I can already tell in the first, just by us being together for the last 10 minutes or so, I know this is going to be a phenomenal one. Trey, brother, thank you so much for being here. A huge part of the origin story audience, they're young entrepreneurs or newer investors that are trying to find their way. They may be in real estate and maybe in some other form of business. And it is very, very, very difficult for these people to meaningfully relate to Lambos, mansions, yachts, private islands, things like that, right? Yeah. What they can relate to is the struggle, the come up, the story of the journey that they had to go through to get to where they're at. Now, you're a guy who I think it's only been about 3 years right now since you got into Camwood bats, and you're soaring right now, but you're not so far removed. And what we want to do is showcase to people because it's relatable. We want to showcase that origin story to everyone else and hopefully inspire a few folks. Trey, dude, I'd love to hear your origin story.
All right, so my name is Trey Sikes. I'm the owner of Camwood Bats. And basically what the company is we teach baseball and softball players how to hit, essentially. So for the first 3 years of the business, we created a wood training bat that, obviously with the weight above the hands is going to teach them how to properly increase their bat speed and power and the proper mechanics. But, this business started back when my hitting coach, whenever I was a junior in high school. I finished the season my junior year with a 180 batting average. And if you're a baseball guy, you will know a 180 batting average is not very good. So that summer I started working with my hitting coach and training with the Camwood bat. And 3 short seasons later, I was elected as a Division I All-American. So I was elected as one of the top first basemen in the country. And like I said, in just 3 seasons of training with this bat, I saw all that progress and all the results. So whenever my baseball career ended, I actually took a job out in Arizona as a storage engineer. So I was installing data equipment for PayPal and eBay. 2 years, I was completely out of the baseball game. I didn't watch baseball because I was still salty that I didn't get drafted and didn't make it to the pros, because that was always my goal and my dream. So, I took that work ethic and I started applying it to business and to my job. So moved the ranks up at my job that I was currently working at. And one day they asked me to go do a big install in Tennessee. And I was driving past my old hitting coach's house. And at that time, I haven't spoken to him in 2 or 3 years. So I went over there, had dinner with him. And it was at that dinner he asked me if I wanted the business. So he literally just gave me Camwood bats. And at the time, we were only doing he was only doing $2,000 a month. Yeah. And so I saw that the progress that this bat had on my career. So I knew that it worked, and I knew that I could use my story to push it out to the public. So, that's exactly what I did. I used my story.
Why do you think that the bat? So, how long had he been in business for?
10 years before 10 I took over. Yep.
Why do you think that he didn't have? He grew the company to $2,000 in revenue per month over 10 years. Like, why do you think that it was capped right there?
So he was an older gentleman, and he didn't really know marketing at all. So. He didn't do any advertisement. He didn't push the videos out to the marketplace at all. So he literally was just word of mouth. And it was primarily major league players that were using our bat. So, Tony Gwynn's one of the greatest hitters of all time. And he was a huge endorsement for this bat. And even like my hitting coach had the video of Tony Gwynn saying that this bat was the key to hitting, and he never posted it. So literally no one knew that this was a thing. And, whenever I took over the business, obviously I saw the videos that we had. I mean, that endorsement from Tony is massive. So I started taking those videos, and, we started with $5 a day so post that video, $5 a day. I'd get a sale come in, and I would bump it up to $10 a day, and then $20 a day. And, we've grown this from $2,000 a month to now $17 million since I've taken over in just a little under 3 years now. So it's been nuts.
It's insane.
So I got to say this one, in terms of your entry into the company, I absolutely love this, because there's so many entrepreneurs who are buying their way into businesses. The reality is you were basically a testimony. You were living proof that this thing works, and it, changed your athletic career. Basically got you, a pretty sweet deal in college. So the fact that you were a guy who in high school, like you said, your batting average wasn't phenomenal, but it was the key differentiating factor to get you into a pretty sweet gig in college. And then that it was offered to you right after. I mean, to me, that's huge. That's so much more of an amazing story than just saying like, hey, I entered this because I knew that it was P&Ls and I came in and I just paid X amount of dollars for it.
Oh, no, we started from the bottom.
Dude, absolutely. But here's what kind of blows my mind. Was there at some point, did you sit down with the previous owner before you took on, right? Before you came on and took the helm and kind of said, hey, you have accessibility to major league players. You have accessibility to basically the leaders of the industry. Why are we not taking more advantage of this?
Oh, 100%. Like at that dinner when we sat down, he obviously knew that I was a little bit better at social media just because I was younger. He knew I knew what Instagram and Facebook were. He had no clue. So, he was kind of phasing out of it a little bit, and he has 2 sons, and neither of his sons wanted the business. So they just saw that it was only, doing $2,000 a month. So they're like, I don't even want to mess with it. They weren't baseball guys at all. Yeah. So being like his 3rd son, he offered it to me. And I've always been, business oriented. I've always wanted to do my own thing. And years in advance, like whenever I was in high school and college, I would always tell my dad, Camwood is how I'm going to make my money. Camwood is how I'm going to get rich one day. And when the opportunity presented itself, it was game over. I took over, and, I was working 16, 18-hour days at the beginning, getting this stuff out and promoting it, because I worked, it took me 11 months to make my first $1 million, and I was still working my other job while doing this. So I would work my day job during the day, come home at night, and just focus on Camwood. And I'd made over $1 million before I actually quit my original job. That's when I was like, okay, wow, I can make this an actual job and an actual career. It just kept building. So like I said, with the Facebook ads and the Instagram ads, as that money was coming in, I didn't take any profits at all in the first year of the business. I just kept putting it right back into advertising and just growing it. So that's how we were able to grow so fast, is I didn't touch that profit. I kept reinvesting back into the business.
So, wow, that $1 million by 11 months working a full-time job.
Correct.
In your 20s. Yep. So that was about 3 years ago. So you're about 25, 26, somewhere around there.
I was 26 when I took over. I'm 29 now. Yep.
Yeah, I just want you to know, I don't know if you know this, but that's usually not normal, to have that. I'm just saying there may be something a little bit special. Okay, but I'm curious about this, right? Because, we have a lot of real estate investors on, and we talk about how to add value to a property, right? Add value to some form of real estate. When you took this on as a 26-year-old, right, who had a business kind of entrepreneurial mind, but maybe not a lot of business scaling experience, how did you approach this? How did you decide, oh, this is how I'm going to make this business better?
So what's funny is I actually went on YouTube, like everybody should do. There's a lot of free content on YouTube for you to follow and watch. So I come across a video of Russell Brunson, the owner of ClickFunnels, and I watched his speech at 10X whenever he sold, it was like $3 million in 90 minutes. Mm-hmm. So it was a really good speech about funnels. And that webinar right there sold me as well as everybody else that watches it. It was a really good sales pitch. So I left that YouTube video saying that this was the key to growing my business. So I dove deep into the ClickFunnels sphere. And, one of the main things that stuck out to me was if you have a physical product, you need to pair it with a digital product to add perceived value to that product. So I knew I had this bat and I knew it worked, but I needed to have a program that goes with it to teach the person how to use it. So what I did is I created the All-American 30-day program because it's the exact same program structure that my hitting coach did with me to help me go from a 180 hitter to an All-American. So I took what I learned in high school from my hitting coach and I implemented it into this 30-day program where people could just log in online and follow it day by day. And what I did is I just had a private Facebook group to where people could upload their videos of them doing the drills. And I was in there critiquing them, coaching them. So, primarily baseball is a one-on-one in a cage, right? See, if you can't scale that at all. So I was thinking to myself, how can I work with 1,000 players at once? And it's through online and through following this program, having a membership. So I was selling the All-American 30-day program. I think it was at 197 when I first started doing it. And just it cost me $15 to make a camwood bat. So the margins are through the roof already. So adding in that digital product with the physical, it was a no-brainer for a customer because not only were they getting the product, I was teaching them exactly how to use it and I was guiding them through it. So all it took was me to do this program for free with somebody in a Facebook group. They posted their results inside that Facebook group and it exploded. So all my DMs just started firing after that person posted their results. Because if you're a baseball player, to put this into perspective, a dad came to me and he was telling his son, or he was coming and saying that he wanted his son to gain 3 miles an hour in just 3 months of ball exits off the tee. So how hard he can hit the ball. He gained 10 miles an hour in 30 days. So it's ridiculous results that people are getting. And once you start firing 2, 3, 4 testimonials inside a Facebook group like that, it just spread like wildfire. And that's how we exploded it.
Wow. So I'm not in baseball, right? I never was a baseball guy, but I did a lot of tennis. I was a collegiate athlete. And one thing about that is, and I love the fact that you tied in a Facebook group, that addition of a community can be so critical. And it's something that's lacking in so many like physical products in the sporting industry. So in the tennis sphere, there was a lot of things that said, oh, if you use this, whatever this tool is, whether it's a different type of racket or something with your shoes or something, some magic chalk for your hands, it'll just it'll result in better results, right? And what ended up always lacking there was one, they didn't have a training component involved with it that actually made a lot of sense. And then two, the fact that I've actually never seen up until very recently something that had a community oriented kind of approach with it. And now these things are coming out. There's this very popular product in tennis. The name escapes me. It's a bag. It's a special bag. Yeah. And it's an amazing product, but there's a million bags out there. There's a million of them. The thing that changed it is the fact that it came with like a mobile app community and there's integration and then it brings people together. And tennis is like baseball is a team sport. I'm sure training is very much one-on-one, very kind of nuanced and individualized, but tennis is one-on-one all the way through. So the integration of that is huge. I absolutely love that. I think for anyone watching, if you do like they talked about this in the Time to Thrive Challenge quite a bit. If you do an e-course or a digital product, just simply adding a Discord channel, a Facebook group, a just kind of support center for it, it just results in more word of mouth, more community. It's so good.
That's the thing is you want to have a place where all of your customers and your community all come together, right? Because like even whenever you do like another launch, like we're about to launch game bats now, I can go to that community that I've built and I don't have to spend any marketing at all on that, right? I just put a post into that community and it'll blow up just like the training bats did. So it is extremely important to have a community and provide value to that community to make sure that it's a place that they want to be a part of.
Yeah. I want to touch on that community because I know that you do have a Discord channel and you have like professional baseball players in that channel, and that's like something you talked about as like huge leverage that you have. But let's hold that because I definitely want to talk about it, but I want to go back a little bit to this funnel that you created. Like your this idea of putting a digital product with a physical product, was that something that was like right away you just like understood that, something you learned from Russell? Is it something that you experimented in and failed a couple times, and like where did that come from? Because it makes sense now, but I don't think most people, that's not intuitive to most people.
Yeah, so it actually came from I got into the one funnel away challenge, which is, it's $100 and they'll teach
Yep.
you how to build funnels. And inside of there, they give you access to what other the two comma club that they have.
Yep.
So anyone that has made $1 million in a funnel, they had 30 people that were going through their funnels on how they, made $1 million inside this one funnel. And I think it was Jamie Cross that said that she provides a Facebook group to her audience, and she sells soap. So literally, it's just a bar of soap and lotion and whatnot. But she built a Facebook group, and had her like skincare regimens and all that stuff in there for people to see the results. So right when I saw that, I was like, I can build this program, put it into a private Facebook group, and I can coach all of my players through this right here. So like when I saw that, it just clicked. And the moment that I launched it, it just took off. Because in the baseball space, everything is in person. It's one-on-one. So whenever I came out with this, it was something new. And people didn't have to leave their house. They didn't have to go drive an hour to a private hitting lesson. They could literally do this from home and upload the video straight to us. And I'll be able to critique them and let them know if they're doing the drills correctly or not. So whenever parents saw the value that they were getting from the comfort of their own home, it was a no-brainer.
Dude, it's, what's so funny is that we live in the information age, but sometimes the hardest thing we have to do is we have to disseminate good information, bad information. But when we're able to find really smart people like Russell Brunson, I'm a huge Russell Brunson guy as well. He's the one who actually like turned me on to Alex. But Russell was before Alex for me personally. And I went through this one fun away challenge as well, and it's so freaking good. But for $100, the idea, just like that one little seed that Trey took this product that had been doing for 10 years, and he turned it from a $2,000 a month product into some $17 million, is like that's how much your life can change. There was a lot of other things that happened along the way, and like Trey is he's very skilled in a lot of other things as well. But just to think about that, like that was a huge lever, that $100 away challenge. Like just think about that. I think that's so valuable. It's so crazy how quickly, when you have the right information and the timing is it's right, how fast you can actually go, especially when you have a hungry audience. And I think there's one other thing I want to talk about too, is because people are like, how does that happen? Like it's a great market match because baseball is a very competitive sport. There's obviously huge payoffs. There's actually a lot of people who and Trey, you can kind of maybe educate us all on the actual market of like professional baseball, because you were somebody who played baseball. But it's a big market and people are willing to spend money on it, right? Like people are actually like, parents are willing to like invest a lot of money into their kids because there's a chance, an opportunity that they could actually be a professional athlete, and people are willing to spend money on that. And so do you want to talk about that a little bit? Because I think it's really important to understand that like just because you have a great product doesn't matter. And we learned from your old hitting coach that just because you have a great product, it doesn't matter because you don't have marketing sales, but also the audience behind it as well. So kind of touch on that if you don't mind.
So that's the main thing is, we were already primarily in the major league guys. So the major league players, there's not that many of them. So it's a small market, right? Yeah. So whenever I took over, I started thinking, well, what's my target audience? And obviously the youth market is way larger. So then you have to break it down from there. Okay, if I want the youth players to use my bat, who's buying the bat? The dad is buying the bat or the mom is buying the bat, right? Because the kid can't afford it. So my marketing strategy was actually to go and grab, I went and found really high-end players during their career that were coaching their kids. And I got to them and started offering them free products for their kids to use. So one instance is Mo Vaughn. Mo Vaughn was the AL MVP. I mean, one of the best players during his time, right? And he's coaching his son's Little League team. So his son started using the bat, and sure enough, his son saw the crazy results. And Mo actually called us and said, hey, I need bats for the entire team. So I said, no problem. I'll send you all the bats that you need. all I ask in return is a video. So Mo Vaughn, AL MVP, made us a video for free. All I had to do was just give him some bats. And I started thinking about, the kid's not going to know who Mo Vaughn is, but the dad and the mom is going to know exactly who Mo Vaughn is.
Yeah.
So I started going and attacking those types of players. And, that marketing strategy worked to perfection, because obviously Mo Vaughn pops up saying it's the greatest training bat on the market. Instant credibility, because the parent knows exactly who Mo is because they watched him growing up. So that was the entire marketing strategy. And it still is to this day, because if I can sell a bat to a youth player, they're going to use my bat for a longer lifespan than somebody that's a little bit older, right? Because in the baseball world, majority of people don't go on to college and play or get drafted and play in the pros. So most players are going to end right around the age of 18. So I try to get someone, that's 9, 10, 11 years old. That way I can get them over the next 7 or 8 years while they're playing in high school and growing through that, because it's a much larger market. So that was the main thing for me, is attacking, knowing exactly what market you want and what was going to be more profitable.
Yeah, it's cool, because if you guys go to Trey's website, go to camwoodbats.com, whether you're a baseball player, whether you have a kid or not, like if you do, of course, like don't be an idiot, like go get the product. But even if you don't, like just go look at it, because he does a great job as a business owner of like influencer marketing, right? And the very first person on there is Tony Gwynn. So anyone who knows who baseball is knows who freaking Tony Gwynn is, right? One of the greatest hitters of all time. And then Mo Vaughn is second on there, and then Manny Ramirez is on there, and there's other baseball players that are all-stars on there. And then of course, then there's the actual testimonials of kids, right? And it's like, you did such a great job, Trey, of weaving that in, of like having the credibility of having professional athletes, but also at the same time, like all your testimonials are actually kids. They're actually the people who is your target audience. And there's like, it's so good. And probably, I mean, honestly, one of the reasons why the company is like blown up so much, because it's like great marketing message, like total on the head. And that's why I was actually curious of like, if it took you a really long time to hit it, but you hit it on the first freaking pitch, man.
Yeah, I said it, thankfully. But that was my whole marketing thing, was, the very first ad, like the cold traffic ad, was the big face. It was the Mo Vaughn, the Tony Gwynn. But once they've came in and they looked at the website, well, now the retargeting ads flipped. Now I'm retargeting little kids using the bat, because I want them to be able to resonate with their age, right? So we'll have a retargeting ad of an 8-year-old using the bat, and then a 10-year-old, 12-year-old, and then a high school player. You just don't know which one is going to resonate with the audience, right? Because everybody's different. So that was the approach. It was to bring them in with the big name and then retarget them with something that they would resonate with. And we saw a lot of success with that.
So I want to shift gears just a little bit here, and I want to talk about you. And you started, after 11 months, you went from, again, having basically a business that did almost nothing to, doing almost probably over $100,000 a month, right? And made a lot of money, still doing your job. And once you quit your job, talk about a little bit about your experience of the kind of growth that you went through during, the 2 years ago, when you actually made that transition to being a full-time entrepreneur. Like, what was your growth journey like? What were some of the conversations you were having in your head? What are some of the things that you had to overcome? How did your life change?
So obviously, we started growing this right when COVID hit. So, obviously you couldn't leave the house and all that. So as we were making money, the very first thing that I did, the very first $250,000 that I made, I went and got a mentor, because I had no clue what I was doing. I was brand new at this. So all the money that was coming in, I knew I had to do something with it. You can't just sit on it, or you're going to get killed in taxes. So I knew I needed to get this into some real estate to help with the tax benefits. And, that's actually where me and you met, Logan, was through Chris Crone. So Chris was my first business mentor, and, he helped guide me through this growth period, and, helped me with the real estate stuff as well. So I knew that I needed to offload the money into certain investments in order to help the taxes, and just to make sure. I don't like sitting on money, to be honest with you. Like if it comes in, especially with inflation, you're just going to get killed. So I try to get it into investments as much as I can. But, whenever we started doing that, very first thing I did whenever I quit my job was move down to Florida for that 6% tax saving, because there's no income tax down here in Florida. So made that transition. But
You're just one step away from being in Puerto Rico, man.
Trust me, I've thought about it. If I didn't have a wife and 2 little kids, I'm telling you, it's Puerto Rico is where I would be heading. But
I'm still in California, so like it's.
oh yeah, have fun with that. You're on your
I'll,
own.
I'll figure it out, guys. I'll figure it out. I might just send you like an emergency help message one day. You're just gonna get a text from me. It's gonna be like, help, California taxes.
That's what I said. You literally couldn't pay me to live in California because everything there is just through the roof in prices.
Yeah.
But
Well, you know what's funny, Trey? I mean, so 2 weeks ago, I was in Kalispell, Montana, which is about 5 hours away from where I live in Bozeman, and a really big real estate entrepreneur named Jerry Norton. He lives over there for 3 months of the year. He lives somewhere else in the States for 3 months of the year, but then he lives 6 months of the year in Puerto Rico, and he's got 10 kids.
that's a lot.
So he's somebody, if you ever want to actually get serious, like I can connect you guys, and he's somebody like he's about it. He obviously very similar situation to you, just makes a ton of money and needs a route to be able to not pay, save even more money in taxes. So
Exactly. Like I said, it's only 4% over there in Puerto Rico. So, and it's
Totally.
nice. I mean, it's vacation. So,
Totally.
I mean, it's kind of like living here in Florida too, because I live on an island here in Florida. So I just like being near the beach. So
That's awesome. So yeah, so the first investment you made when you started making some money, you invested in a mentor.
Yep.
Got some a path, some guidance to like where to put that money. Like on the personal development side, like what sort of personal growth have you had? Personally, what are some of the things that you had to overcome? Like was there any like all of a sudden you went from not making a ton of money to now you having a ton of money and knowing what to do with it? Like describe a little bit about that for people, because I don't think people understand that there's like that's actually a problem. Like having too much money is a problem as well.
Well, that's what's funny is if you looked at me, you saw me walking down the street, you would have no clue because this is what I wear literally every day. my wife hates it. She asks me, "Why do you always wear that shirt?" It's like, you never know when someone's going to recognize you. It's branding for the business. So, my life hasn't changed at all when I got the money in. I still live in an apartment right now. So, like, we didn't really go crazy on spending. I still drive a Toyota Camry. So, I mean, it's just, I have that mindset of, I don't want to just go out there and splurge. I'd rather invest my money and then the passive income off of those investments, I'll go splurge and do other things with. So that's kind of the stage of life that I'm in right now. I mean, I'm only 29 years old. So I'm more focused on investing as opposed to buying what I want at this point.
Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing. I think there's so much value in that for people out there listening, because they're just so focused on the first quarter of the game, which is learning how to make money.
Yeah.
But then you got to understand there's 3 more quarters behind that, right? And the second game is like being able to manage your money. Most people fail miserably at that, and Trey has alluded to it from a standpoint of not spending it on stupid shit, right? Like
Exactly.
cars, fancy houses, trips, watches, whatever it may be, right? Basically the things that we all probably as kids thought what it was to be rich, but we got older to realize that it's like the things that make you poor.
Exactly.
And then in the third quarter is being able to multiply money, which is what Trey's talking about now, is like taking that money and putting it into real estate. And the one thing that me and Trey definitely share at Vision is we want to put as much money in real estate as possibly can, because it's an asset class that has proven for over 100 years to be one of the most consistent and greatest places to park money, and obviously get all the benefits of cash flow, appreciation, principal pay down. But one big thing that we're doing a deal together, and one of the big things that we talked about was doing a cost segregation for depreciation, right? Yeah. So again, like different problems, and so, but it's a great problem to have. And then, and the fourth quarter is talking about making money matter. So as we kind of touched on that a little bit, Trey, for you, what is the goal for you? Like you're making, like you're creating a business, it's blowing up. You're putting money into assets that are going to grow. You're going to be somebody who's going to be very, very wealthy. Again, just your personality, your drive. Like, unless you decide to sabotage yourself, like you will be very, very successful. What is your goal? Like, what do you want to do? Like, what sort of impact do you want to have on the world? What is the vision for you?
So right now, obviously, it's more baseball geared because I've just grown up a big baseball guy. So, my big thing is to make my money, and then I want to be able to give back to the baseball community and stuff like that. Because there's a lot of different areas in the baseball world that kind of they're limited right now. Just like, one, for instance, is African Americans that play in baseball. There's not a lot of them, right? So, me and my partner, we talked about donating to, the Hank Aaron foundations and stuff like that, the Jackie Robinsons, to be able to have like tournaments in these inner cities that a lot of people just can't really afford to play the baseball. So, we donate a lot of our Camwood bats to facilities, and we do everything that we can to make sure that people have what they need, right? So the big thing right now is just giving back to those areas and those communities. And in the long run, I just like the secure feeling, right? So, I'm investing all my money into real estate because I can sit back and no matter what happens, I'm still making an income, right? So, from that perspective of it, it's just providing for my family, making sure my family never has to worry about money, because that's one of my biggest fears, honestly, is, not having money. Like I have such a fear of that. And once you make money, that doesn't really go away. Once you make it, it's more of like, okay, well, I don't want to lose it now. So it just brings different problems, right?
So, okay, I want to highlight this. This is really important. And I want to commend you and applaud you for talking about and making it an effort, right, to go into inner cities where you can deploy not just not just your expertise as a human being, but give resources to groups of people that would never have had access to these resources. So, like baseball, tennis is an extremely expensive sport. There is a big paywall in front of it. And what does that mean? It means that people in the inner cities, kids who have potentially the greatest, there's kids out there who are genetically have all the makings to be the greatest of all time. But we may never be able to witness them rewrite sports history because they just grew up in the wrong spot, or they grew up in a family that didn't make enough money for them to go pick up a racket or be able to pick up a Camwood bat. So a huge this just shot my mind to it the other day. One of the greatest athletes to ever walk this earth, even if you're not into tennis, everyone knows her. Serena Williams just announced that she's going to be retiring. And Serena Williams has made it her career mission because she was from Southern California in a very, very rough part of it. And her father made tons of sacrifices in honestly ghetto areas to be able to get them the training they needed to make it, out of that situation. So she's made it a career effort all for the last 20 years to give back to these communities, to empower that next generation. One of those people, there's a few of those people that have come up on the pro tour who may never have been there if it wasn't for people like Serena or people like Trey giving back to these areas. So, brother, like that to me is huge. So, out of everything that's been said so far today, that resonates with me the most. I tip my hat to you.
And you're correct. Like I said, there's a massive paywall build up in front of baseball right now with all the travel organizations. They're charging a crazy amount of money, and it's pushing a lot of people away from baseball. That's one of the big issues that we're seeing with baseball is people are quitting at a really young age. And that's one of the biggest reasons why. It's because it's just getting overly expensive, and a lot of these people just can't afford it, especially now in the time of the recession. I don't know if I want to say that word right here, but yeah, with that coming up, a lot of people are not going to have as much money to spend on that type of stuff. So, whenever a customer comes to me, like if I know that they want the bat, they just don't have the means to get it, I'll give it to them almost every time, So it's just making sure that they have what they need to, have the proper training to get the results that they want. If somebody really wants it and they really want to work, I'm not going to stop them.
Yeah. I want to say something. Or I actually want to ask you a question, because you said it earlier and we glazed over it, but now it just came back to me. It came back to me because it's very evident that your intention behind this product is very much to serve. And the reason that you've been successful is because the more value you give, the more you get back. Right. And so it was never about like what Sam said. I can't remember if it was before we actually started the podcast. It was in the very beginning of the podcast, but it wasn't like you checked the P and L's and be like, yeah, I think I'll buy this company. It was just like, I believe in this product. So, but there was something you said in the beginning that we kind of glazed over, that it just came back to me. So you use this product, right? So again, for everyone listening, just to refresh the story, Camwood Bats was started by Trey's hitting coach 10 years before he acquired the company, and he used the product, loved the product. And you said something I want to have some clarification on there. You said Camwood Bats was what was going to make you wealthy, so make you rich, you were going to use that company. Was that what it was called, or did you change the name of Camwood Bats, or did you just believe that, like, for some reason, like, you manifested that product specifically, you were going to?
So it was Cam Wood is actually my hitting coach's two sons' name combined. So Camden is his first son, Woody is his second. So
Okay.
put them together, Cam Wood. It's just ironic that we sell wood bats. So
Amazing.
people think my name is Cam. It's not
Yeah.
Cam. So that's how the business name came about. But yeah, like I said, I used this product whenever, I was struggling as a baseball player. So
Yeah.
I went from struggling. I walked on in college. I left that part out. And while I was in college, I was elected as an All-American. So
Yeah.
I saw the crazy results at this bat and the impact that it had on my career. I knew that it could have that impact on other people as well. So whenever I took over the business, like I said, I created that All-American program. I gave that away for free at first, just because I wanted people to do it. So once we had, 5, 10, 20 people go through it and they all saw the crazy results just like I did, that's when we started charging for it, because, we provided the value up front. And then once it was a proven concept, that's whenever we, started charging for it. And that's when the margins just went through the roof on it, because I knew what it did for me. And once I saw that it worked the exact same way for another player and then another, I got it really excited at that point. So there was a point in time when my hitting coach worked with 3 players. All 3 of us were All-Americans. So
Wow.
like I said, the system works, but I learned it from him, and he learned it from Tony Gwynn. So, what we teach was passed down from the greatest hitters in the game of baseball. And, I got that information, and now I'm just releasing it and spewing it out to everybody.
So, more a technical question: is there a patent on the bat and how it's shaped, and is there anything stopping anybody else from knocking it off?
No, there's nothing that stops it anymore.
Interesting.
There was a patent, but patents run out over 10 years. And, we tried other aspects, the trade dressing it and stuff like that. But literally with a product like this, all they have to do is change one tiny measurement on the bat and it can get around it. So, no, we've already had a bunch of people try to knock us off. We've had some of the biggest brands in the game of baseball try to knock us off. And, we've been able to overcome them because of the marketing strategy and the community feel. So the other people that knock us off, they just sell a bat, right? They sell you a piece of wood and you go out and you try to figure it out on your own. But where we differ as the company is we teach you exactly how to use the bat. Being that we're the ones that created it, we know how to use it and how to get the most results, right? Yeah. So, we're able to provide those digital products and provide that value that the other companies that are knocking us off aren't doing. And that's why they're not able to compete with us, because our profits are way higher and I'm able to outspend them in marketing. So
how many people roughly are in the community?
Oh man, I have just in my All-American program membership, we have, I think I looked yesterday, it was 21,400 players. Customer wise, we just crossed over 100,000 customers. So
right there, that in terms of there may not be anything super proprietary about it and someone can go knock it off, but you can't beat the hard-earned customers and the hard-earned community. And it's compounded to a point where you have enough of them where over 100,000 customers, you have, tens of thousands of people in the community. If I go and try to rip it off today, it's going to take me years and years and years to be able to even get to where you're at right now. And by the time that I do, you'll be at millions.
Exactly. So that's the whole thing. Like the other people that come and knock us off, we've built this brand now. And that's why, Dick's Sporting Goods is one of our biggest retail stores that came in. And, one of the biggest, I don't know if you know the company Victus. Victus is a big bat company. They're the most used MLB bat to date right now. And they made a knockoff of our bat. And, Dick's Sporting Goods chose us instead of their version of the bat. Wow. Because of the brand and the community that we built. So, Victus was already in Dick's Sporting Goods and they still chose to come with us just because of the brand that we built. So, there's building that community is extremely important, I'd say, because if you build that brand, it just knocks off any of the other people that try to copy you. And like Russell Brunson says, you want to be the category king. So whenever you're the category king, you get 95% of the sales and the other businesses fight over the other 5. right? So I live by that motto. People always tell another company knocked me off last week. I really don't care. I don't think about it, because if I can just grow my community, they're just going to be fighting over the scraps, and I'm still going to be the category king.
It just honestly goes back to earlier we talked about was that one funnel way challenge and your mentor, Russell, and being able to take that and apply so many different, like you applied so many different tactics. It wasn't just that one tactic of adding a information product to a physical product, but it was the idea of I need to build a community. I need to sell a story. You said that earlier as well. Like I'm just selling a story, and that's what people buy. People buy stories.
100%.
And it's so cool because I actually didn't know that. I thought there was a patent on it, right? And so the fact that there's not a patent is like, it actually is really cool to know that you've had other people try to knock you off, because obviously the greatest form of flattery is people trying to imitate you. But it can also be bad for business if you have these big companies who can just throw money at it and crush it. Even though you're doing really well, it's still a small company in comparison to what these big companies they have for resources. And so it's cool to see you continue to like actually profit and continue to grow when you have competitors come in and literally try to imitate all the success that you've grown through hard work. That's
the main thing. I gave away the secret. The secret is provide value. So
yeah,
couple. If you have a physical product, couple it with a digital product, because the perceived value goes through the roof, and that digital product costs you nothing to make. I promise. It took me 1 hour to make the All-American 30-day program in my bedroom. So, and now, I mean, that's the same All-American program that I made 3 years ago is the same videos I'm still using. I mean, because it works, right? So it doesn't take me any time to fulfill on that digital product because it's already filmed. And, now we have coaches inside of our groups critiquing the swings. I'm still in there interacting with the customers from time to time, but obviously now we have coaches that are able to do that. So like I said, that digital product cost me nothing to fulfill, and the perceived value just goes through the roof whenever you add that in.
Dude, so cool. And so we talked about it earlier. We talked about this Discord group, and then I want you to touch on that, on the Discord group and your idea with it and how it's going and what you see the future of your Discord channel being and doing.
Yeah. So obviously, I do a bunch of research into businesses, right? So I have a bunch of mentors that I watch. Alex Hermosi is one of my favorite. You got Chris Crone, you got all these, like Ryan Pineda. You got a lot of these people, and I noticed one thing: they're all making Discords right now, right? Discord was supposed to be for the gamers and all that stuff, right? And it's really heavy into crypto. But I started seeing all of my business mentors making Discords. So I was thinking to myself, if they're doing it, I should probably follow them, right? They probably know something that I don't. So, we had a Facebook group at the time, and we still do have a Facebook group, but we put all of our attention to a Discord now because it's just an easier way to interact with your community. And it's an easy way for your community members to interact with each other. That's the main part to me, is I want to make sure that my community is talking to each other as opposed to just the Camwood staff, right? Because if you can build a community that no one wants to leave, you have something powerful, right? So, with that Discord, now all we've done is taught hitting, but now I want to start getting into every aspect of baseball and softball. So, I'm asking these professional players to come into the Discord and talk about their specific positions, right? So, Wes Helms, he played 12 years in the major leagues. He coached with the White Sox, and he's one of the top infield coaches in the game of baseball. So I talked with Wes, and Wes actually made an infield program that resembles my hitting program, just his content for infielding, right? So we started selling that, and they can come into that Discord and go to the infielding part of the chat and talk to Wes Helms and get critiques and coaching from Wes Helms personally, right? Wow. So how valuable is that you can have somebody that's 12 years in the major leagues teaching your 8-year-old son how to field a ground ball? You're not finding that anywhere else in the game, right? So that's my next step with this Discord is I want someone, teaching pitching, outfield, infield, every aspect of the game, but I want an expert at every single position teaching that position. So that's what we're heading into next, and I'm really excited about it.
For anybody that's like coming out with their own digital product and you guys are thinking about, Discord channels or Slack channels, Facebook groups, whatever it is, I really want to highlight what you said. You don't want them only talking to Camwood staff.
Correct.
If you So for anyone that's watching, if you go make a Slack channel or a Discord channel, whatever the group is, and users of your products are only talking to you or your team members, that is not a community. That is a support center. That is support chat. That is all it is. In encouraging engagement and integration, user to user, that's what breeds loyalty, relationships. The community will have its own ecosystem of things that happen, and you're gonna bridge so many gaps. This is like everything that you're doing is phenomenal. And one thing that I really want to highlight, I noticed this, you from the start, this company, you didn't invent the product. The product wasn't true. I mean, you said that it was derived from something that was taught by one of the greatest of all time. And so you bought into the company, or however it happened, you got the company, and then you look to scale it by doing basically influencer marketing, by looking at, like, let's leverage the pros that are already here that we already have relationships with. So you didn't reinvent the wheel on the concept. You didn't reinvent the wheel on marketing. And when it came down to doing Discord, what you just talked about, you said Hermosi did it, Ryan Pineda did it, all of these other people did it. So you built a community, not reinventing the wheel there either. And for a lot of people who, I see this all the time with young entrepreneurs, they think they have to invent the next $1 trillion idea, and they don't reinvent the wheel. Everything that Trey has done has been just effectively, I don't know that I want to say, you've really just found ways to add so much little bits of value here and there with marketing, with things, and just applying modern techniques to things. And you've made a freaking monster out of it. As an entrepreneur, this is like the essence of being a modern day entrepreneur. Like, I'm geeking out right now. This is great.
So that's the main thing. Like, if you're just starting out as an entrepreneur, it's literally find somebody that has done what you want to do and mimic what they've done. Because if they got big and they are the category king at that point, it's because they know how to get there, right? What they did to get there was successful. So find someone that is where you want to be and just model them, right? And that's literally exactly what I did. I follow Russell Brunson on pretty much everything. I mean, the guy knows marketing. So, I would look and see what he did and use his tactics. And, it's made me a ton of money on sales because he taught me how to sell and how to build a script, right? And like Logan was saying, it's story selling, right? Whenever you sell a product, you don't get into the nuts and bolts about it because you're going to confuse somebody, right? So you tell them the story of how you got there. And if it's a good enough story, they're going to have the same epiphany that you did, right? And that's what's going to sell them. So like I said, it's in the baseball space, not a lot of people had this type of content that we're getting into, the digital side of it. But I found a business mentor that understood how to grow a business, and I followed him.
Yeah. So good. There's so many things that I want to touch on that Trey said, and the biggest one being like his first investment, mind you guys, was investing in a mentor, right? And even before he made that big investment, he was investing his time into learning Russell Brunson and smaller amounts of money into Russell Brunson. And like, mentors and education is one of the most powerful things that you can ever do is invest in coaching. Like, Trey and I, we both are in the Chris Crum program. Me and Sam are both in Pace's program. And I think we're all in probably other programs as well outside of those ones. So we're all big believers in education. It's so important. And it's just really cool, right? It's just like, and I find it so valuable that people actually do that and they put their information out there. Like, Russell doesn't have to put his information out there. He doesn't have to do these webinars. He doesn't have to, he doesn't have to do what he does. Neither does Chris, neither does Alex, neither does Pace, but they do it because they want to serve. And that's where I think we all align with these guys, because we like to serve as well. And like Trey just talked about, like, his big vision is to give back to the baseball community. So he needs to have enough resources, right? Time, money, energy, knowledge that he can pour back into his community. And he can't do that when he's broke. He can't do that if he doesn't have experiences. Exactly. And so that's why it's so valuable for you to be successful, because it's not about you. Like, you take care of your family, like, that's like goal number one. But then the next game is like, how do I take care of my community? How do I take care of the world? And those are the people who really those people who actually change the world is people who take care of those things first.
Exactly.
It's amazing. And just as a side note, for the story selling, Expert Secrets, if you guys have not read that book, it's one of the best books on what Trey is talking about, is like story selling, how to craft offers, presentations, whether you're doing webinar stuff, whether you're doing slides, whether you're doing, VSLs, like one of the best books. I love that book. I've read it. I've read the book a lot. Sam, that's one for you.
Oh, if you haven't read
Yeah.
Expert Secrets, you definitely need to. So that's my audiobook in the gym right now. I mean,
Mhm.
I've listened to that thing 20 times because you pick up on something new every time you read it, or you listen to it again, right? So yeah, my computer is sitting on .com secrets and traffic secrets as we speak. I needed to prop it up on something. So yeah, all three of Russell's books are really good.
Yeah, I think I have them right there. So there's
Yeah. I was literally gonna ask Logan, do you have it in your library right there? Logan gives me a bunch of crap for it because I don't like to read. I'm just not a reader. Like I went to college and I went to masters. I'm like, oh, this guy every single time. You know, it's actually amazing. I love this. I keep randomly getting books sent to me from like other entrepreneurs. Like it has become, I don't know why. Like every week for the last like 5 weeks, someone has just randomly sent me a different book. And every time it happens, Logan and his wife are like, you're not going to read it. You're not going to read it. And I'm just like amassing a collection. So this one is what? Expert Secrets?
Expert Secrets. Yeah. Literally.
Okay.
I mean,
all right.
I said, I work out every morning. I don't listen to music. Like riding in the car with me, I don't listen to music. I only listen to podcasts and business stuff. So literally I'll go to the gym, I'll pop on an audiobook and start working out. That's where I get a lot of my ideas is right there in the gym, listening to audiobooks.
Yeah, I'm the same way, man. I've been doing that for a while as well, and that's one of my favorite. Actually, you know who turned me on to that, ironically, and I'm not sure if you know who he is. Do you know who Eric Cressy is?
I do not.
Eric Cressy. So he's a coach. He owns a gym in Massachusetts, but he trains baseball players, right? So that's his big things. He trains baseball players. He has got 2 gyms. He's got one in Florida and he's got one in Massachusetts, Crest Performance. But he was the one who taught me that. And it was like a Facebook post. He's like every time he's got like a 30-minute drive, and he said, hey, he turned the music off and just like started listening to books. And that was like 2016 that I read that. I was like, oh, I can do that. I have like a 20-minute drive too. And so he was the one who turned me on to it. And since then I've never listened to music. And now I listen to stuff at the gym as well, to books and Zooms and podcasts and all that.
That was the good thing is my original job as a storage engineer, I had to cover the entire Southeast. So I was Virginia down, Mississippi over. So I had to travel a lot. I was driving all over the place. And whenever I'm traveling 6 hours somewhere, it's all audiobook. I mean, I was knocking books out left and right on business. So it's that and listening to YouTube videos, listening to podcasts on Spotify. Like I said, it's you don't realize how much you can get done like in your your commute to a job or as you're working out. That's perfect time for you to get in the business research that you need to be successful. So still something that I do to this day. Anytime I walk in the gym, I listen to business podcasts. I was listening to Hormozy's new podcast with Ed Milet today.
Yeah. Awesome. I listened to that one yesterday while I was at the gym as well.
There you go.
Habit stacking. That's all it's called. It's called habit stacking. I think that the book Atomic Habits, it like phrased that, but again, it's just like sometimes it's just intuitive. Like while I'm doing something, I can also be doing something else. And Pace actually has talked about that a lot as well. Is like, how do you do multiple things at one time? Like for instance, example, this is like we're making content, we're building a relationship, we're learning your story, like we're getting inspired, other people are getting inspired, and so we're doing multiple things at one time. And when you think about that, it's like, how do you continue to do multiple things at one time? Is how you're able to like accomplish so much. People are just like, how do you do that? Like, Trey, how do you have time to work out? It's like, well, because I also make that part of my education process. It's also I make part of my personal development process. It's also how I take care of my body, my energy. It's like, there's so many different things that if you just frame it properly, it's like you can do anything you want.
Exactly. And working out is I guess it's because I was an athlete growing up, but that is like the number one. I have to wake up and work out right when I wake up in the morning because that's where I get my best thinking done. So, I work out first and then I can come home and I start implementing what I was just thinking about. Right. So I'm not someone that can just wake up and start working. I need a little bit of time to get my brain going. So that's why I like to work out right when I first wake up.
So awesome. And so as we start to wrap up here, I want to talk about something because last time I chatted with you, you were just opening up, not necessarily opening up, but moving or adding an additional market. So you talked about softball, right? So we're talking a lot about baseball. And then last time I chatted with you, you actually, another influencer marketing strategy, you got one of the best softball players in the game to endorse your product. So if you don't mind talking a little bit about the reason why you did that and how you did it and what's been the impact on the business since you opened up an additional market.
So obviously, baseball and softball are both really big markets, right? So we attacked the baseball space first because that's what I knew and that's what I could resonate with, right? So I can't really go and resonate with a softball player because I didn't play softball, right? I mean, I understand the mechanics of the swing, but I wasn't in their shoes, right? So I wanted to go and grab a influencer that obviously everybody knows, and there's a softball player called Paige Halstead. She was the youngest player to ever play for Team USA softball. And, she's an All-American at UCLA, won a national championship with them. And I saw her as the perfect person for me to partner with for the softball side because she is probably the biggest name in softball right now. So, I reached out to Paige. Well, let's backtrack a little bit. Last year, we did $7 million in sales, and I actually did the numbers, and only 8% of our sales were softball. So when I saw that, I was like, okay, I'm missing a massive market here that I need to tap into. So that's what started the transition into the softball side. So, we signed Paige. And
how did you reach out to her? Did you slide into her DMs?
Well, at first I did, yes, but she did not respond. She has 300,000 followers on Instagram, has 700,000 on TikTok. So it's pretty much impossible to get in that way. So I actually went and found her email and sent her an email, telling her exactly what my plan was. Right.
Awesome.
So come to find out, she had heard about us before, obviously. And her father actually owns a hitting facility. So they've seen a lot of the players come in and using our bats. So she knew who we were at the time. And, we cut a deal with her to really help us grow that softball side of the business and partner with us. So I think we closed that deal, maybe 2 months ago. So it's in the early stages right now, but it's going really well so far.
So awesome. So awesome. And so we were started with baseball, basically proof concept. Now starting to see opportunities to add verticals that are very much in alignment. So I guess let me ask you this: is the bat different? Is it the same? Do you have to create a whole new bat? What changes when you add this additional market?
So there are differences in sizes for baseball and softball bats. So our youth bats, we didn't have to change. So a youth baseball bat is the exact same as a youth softball. But
Amazing.
The difference is with the adult sizes. So a baseball bat, the adult baseball size is a 1/4 of an inch thicker diameter than the softball. So, it wasn't something that was a drastic change. And we've always offered softball. We just never marketed softball. So It's not like we had to add a new product. We just started putting a little bit more attention into it. That's all we did.
So they're using the same exact bat that a young baseball player would use.
Sizes are, yes.
Awesome. So, but there actually is a separate bat for softball in the adults.
Correct. Yep.
Okay. Amazing. Cool. And so we added that, and then last time we chatted, and you talked about a little bit today, you've also started to add a whole new product, which is actually a game bat. So describe your intention and what your vision is for that.
So it's actually funny because I never really wanted to get into game bats because I like the whole training aspect of it, and we were doing really well with training. So, during this whole COVID thing, maple wood in the US and Canada completely went to zero. I mean, I literally could not even buy one billet of maple to make my bats. So it forced us to go overseas, right? So we started using a European beech wood, which is very similar density to the maple. So it worked out perfectly for what we needed. And it was a lot cheaper, a lot cheaper.
Nice.
So to put it in perspective, we were paying $20 a billet for maple. We're only paying $6 to $7 for this European beech. So it's way less than what we were spending. So
amazing.
So we were using this European beech for the training bats. And my manufacturer called me one day and said, he's been doing woodworking for 20 plus years. And he said, this is by far the best quality wood I've ever seen for a bat. So whenever he told me that, instantly sparked my thoughts of the game bats, obviously, because the whole reason that we didn't really get into the game bats is because we used a lesser grade wood with the maple, right? Mm-hmm. So being that our bats are heavy, whenever a MLB game bat is made, it has to be a certain weight. So whenever that log comes in, if it's overweight, they push that billet to the side, and we would come in and buy that billet that they could not use, right? So we were coming in and basically taking the scraps to make our training bats with them. So that's why it was cheaper. It was a lesser grade wood, right?
Yeah.
So whenever we changed to the European beech, well, our manufacturer is not a baseball manufacturer, right? It's just a wood manufacturer. So they're just sending us wood, and lo and behold, it's like literally the best wood possible for a baseball bat. And we just didn't know it. So we were going for about 6 months making it, the training bats with this wood until we found out that this is just like a crazy good wood. So to put into perspective, maple is used right now largely because of the hardness, right? It's because whenever you have a hard piece of wood, the ball is going to come off the bat a lot harder, right? You're going to get more performance. Well, this European beech is 5% harder than the maple, but almost has a 2 times bigger sweet spot of the wood because of the less vibrations in this European beech. So you're telling me you can have a baseball bat that is harder than the one you swing, and it has 2 times the sweet spot size. Don't you think you get more performance out of that?
Yeah.
So whenever we saw that and we tested that, my eyes lit up and it was like, all right, I'm not a professional at game bats. So let me go find somebody that is and that has the connections, right? So once again, I go out and I partnered with somebody. I partnered with Wes Helms, who played 12 years in the major leagues, who has the connections that I don't have. I have the product. I wanted to find somebody that can get me the customers, right? And get me the endorsements that we needed to boom this thing. So Wes has done a great job finding the major league players for us to test our bats. We've sent out probably 150 bats to guys, and the reviews are crazy. Everyone loves them. Every player that's used it has switched from maple to our bats now, and we still haven't launched yet. So we have MLB players already using our bats, and we haven't even launched them to the public yet. So we're actually getting ready for that probably in the next week and a half, 2 weeks. So I'm excited. You'll see me working on it at the Airbnb next week. So,
dude, it's so cool. Like, again, just everything from the start of your story has always just been about like seeing opportunity, adding value, and finding the who, right? Like finding someone who's done it. I think that's one of the skill sets. The reason why you've had so much success so quickly is because you look for the who rather than like, I don't know how to get a game bat in. I didn't play the major leagues, and you're like, but who has? And you're so quick to do that. I think that's so valuable. And for my own curiosity, like, is our bats not licensed through a specific manufacturer? Is that like that seems to me, it seems like that would be a lot of hoops to jump through in order to get a bat into a major leaguer's hands.
So you just have to be MLB licensed. So the MLB, you send a batch of bats to them, they inspect them, and they will sign off on them, yes or no, pretty much. So you have to pay a license fee for a major league player to use your bat in game, but you do have to meet certain requirements. But the species that we do use is one that's already approved. So we just have to, we just have to make sure that certain little small stuff are done in order to get licensed, to get approved. So that's our next step, which we can't get approved until December. So that's what I'm saying. Next season, you'll see some Camwood bats in the major leagues and on TV. So it's going to be awesome.
Dude, so cool. So cool. And so this is a live show, and we do have a question here. And I think I might know the answer to this, but this Matt Odell, he's from Ogden, good guy. And so he's got a young boy. He said, will these bats be available in youth sizes? And I think he's referencing the game bats, but my understanding that these are all wood bats, and the youths usually use metal bats. Is that right?
Yeah. So we do everything in youth sizes. So we do everything from 26-inch all the way to 34-inch. So that's with the training bats and the game bats. So yeah, most people use aluminum bats, but I'm a firm believer in you should always train with a wood bat because it's going to help you. Like an aluminum bat has a 6-inch sweet spot. On average, a wood bat has a 3-inch sweet spot. So if you're training with wood and you're consistently hitting with wood, and you get consistent hitting the sweet spot with 3 inches, imagine what you're going to do whenever you pick up an aluminum bat in game, right? So you're going to be crushing the ball over the place. So whenever I work with a player, I don't even let them use aluminum in the cage with me. So it's wood only because it's the benefit of the player, right?
That's awesome. Yeah, I never would have thought about that. So yeah, so if you guys have young kids, young boys, young girls who are playing baseball, softball, like, go get your bat. So Trey's on Instagram at Camwood Bats. You can go get him there. Trey also has a personal Instagram. Do you want me to link that too, or do you want to push people to Camwood Bats? What's the best place for you?
It doesn't. Either one. My normal Instagram is Trey Sikes 22. I don't really post on there, so like I said, it's mostly all Camwood related stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, I have to ask this. So every time you talked about sweet spots, you talked about wood density. For me, because this is where my brain goes to tennis and tennis rackets and tennis technology. I always kind of, as an athlete, you kind of figure that sports technology, there's parallels across different industries with, swinging sports, tennis, golf, baseball, badminton, things like that. There's going to be similarities. And the fact that you talk about how, using a wood bat in the training department, because that sweet spot's smaller. For anyone that doesn't understand, like with golf, with tennis, with baseball too, the sweet spot is basically literally where you want the ball to make contact on the tool that you're using. On tennis, it's like usually in the middle of the racket head, a little bit above the middle. And I'm assuming on the bat, it's probably not quite towards the end. It's probably a little bit of safe ways before the end.
I can show you right here.
Oh, there we go. Right there.
The sweet spot's right here.
And then
where the sweet spot is where there's no vibrations on the bat. So if you tap up it, and wherever you don't feel vibration, that's where it is on the bat.
And then in training, if a youth player or someone who's just trying to improve is using a wood bat with a smaller sweet spot, you're promoting a couple things: hand-eye coordination, timing, and you're going to get so much better feedback from it. In tennis, we call this shanking. When you're off hitting or hitting off center, it's called a shank. It'll vibrate a different way. This is amazing. So I have to ask this question. Let's assume 10 years from now, have you ventured into other swinging sports? Because baseball and softball, they're two very different things, but they're very similar. Am I going to see you like in my realm in 10 years or what?
I don't know about the tennis realm, but we are working on a golf club. So golf and baseball swings, I mean, they are similar, right? You want to get the rotation in the swing and so on and so forth. But we actually have had golf professionals call us asking for a Camwood bat so they can use it on the driving range. So they'll use our Camwood bat, like just warming up, and then they'll pick up their golf club and start using it. And apparently they see really good results from it. I personally haven't tried it, but I know I told my brother about that, and my brother's a golfer. So he went just like the lead tape with the tennis rackets. He went and he took an ankle weight and taped it to the golf club where like in the proper position. And he went out to the range and used it. And he said he'd never hit the ball straighter. So I think there is a concept there, but like I was telling you earlier, the lead tape, all you gotta do is just wrap the club with lead tape and it'll get around it. But maybe we'll get into golf clubs one day. I can see that's a big market for sure. But
I can't wait, dude. I can't wait. This is awesome, man. I've just been like geeking out, and like we've done a lot of these episodes. I mean, we're still relatively fresh, but we've done out of all the episodes that we've had, I've never been able to geek out about something that's been such a huge part of my life, which is tennis. And so, Trey, dude, this is dope. This is absolutely amazing. So when you do in 10 years decide to make the jump to tennis, because you're going to find a way to revolutionize things.
That's why we partner on it, right? So you have the tennis background. I'll license you the model, right?
Who not how, brother. Always.
It's awesome. So Trey, as we start to wrap up here, me and Sam talked about this yesterday. We talked about this question, and this is a question I want to ask you. This podcast is called The Origin Story, and if you were to summarize your origin story in 60 seconds, 1 minute, what is the origin story of Trey Sikes? How did Trey get to the man you are today?
Oh, in 60 seconds. All right, and start. So basically business-wise is, I started off, I had no clue about business at all. I found a mentor that was already successful and understood sales, right? So I followed in his footsteps. And the main thing is don't take the money off the top right away. You want to keep reinvesting in your business because that's how it's going to grow, right? Mm-hmm. So the very first year of this business, I didn't take any profits whatsoever, kept reinvesting it. And that's how I was able to grow. In the very first year of business, we did $5 million in sales. And it was because I didn't take a single dollar off of it, right? I was able to reinvest and continue to grow that business. So, and then once you have the money and the business is growing, invest it into things that are going to help passive income for the rest of your life. All right. Don't go below the money. Don't spend it all. Go put it in investments, and then you can spend what the investments make you. Okay. So that's probably the biggest thing that I can say that I've learned so far is just don't spend and splurge on a bunch of random stuff. Invest, and then you can spend that passive income.
Yeah.
And you'll be successful if you do that.
Trey, thank you so much for giving us your time, sharing your story. And like I said earlier, and I 100% say it with like true authenticity, like just your values is the reason why you and I are friends and we connect so much, and the reason why we're doing business together. And I just love that you're so driven to give value over splurging and spending on things that actually don't matter. And I think that's so valuable for everybody who's listening, because when you're young and you're just getting started, like those are the things that maybe get you going. Is like you want to have the fancy things, you want to have the nice things in life, but what will keep you going, will keep you in the game long and in the game forever, is that you just are looking for ways to provide value to the marketplace, and you get fulfillment off service, and not from my abilities. And that's why I respect you so much, and I respect your I just respect your story so much, and thank you so much for coming on here, Sam. I'm so glad that you guys got to connect and share.
Now we're gonna partner on a tennis racket, so
exactly.
Done deal.
So yeah. So thank you, Sam, for being on here. Trey, thank you so much. Again, connect with Trey on Instagram, Camwood Bats. Go to his website, camwoodbats.com. And again, if you have someone in the baseball niche, like you'd be silly not to go buy the product. And if you're just a business person, like go buy the product just to go through the experience. Another Russell Brunson thing as well is like go funnel hack, like go buy the product, go through the experience, see all the things that he's got going on, be part of his community. And like it's like the cheapest like mentorship you can get is just by actually modeling somebody. So Trey, thank you so much, my friend. Sam, thank you so much for another episode of The Origin Story. We are out. Bye, guys.